Hey, folks, welcome to the Redneck Country Podcast. You're on with Real Redneck Todd, and of course, we've got the almost guy, Real Redneck Bill Thom. Bill, are you there?
Good evening, everybody. It's a beautiful day for a podcast.
It's a beautiful day for a podcast. Right on. And sitting beside me, as always, for 41 years of my life.
41 years.
Did I let that out? I mean,
yeah,
I doubled my age because that's how I feel with him sitting beside me for that long. Is my father, the patriarch of Redneck Country, Real Redneck Don Millard. Dad, are you there?
Yeah, and I walked over for this abuse.
I was.
Yes.
It's a great night for a podcast, but it's cold out there. I had to wear 2 coats tonight, 2 hoodies.
And it's colder in here.
Yeah, I bet. I'll tell you right now, we got snow. What do they say? To add for chaos, add water. So for chaos, add snow. We got snow up here this morning, and I tell you what, the roads stop.
I was going to say, is it the first snowfall drive of the year? It's always, and I don't even care if it's like there's 3 flakes. It's all of a sudden everybody is just running into everybody.
Yeah, it was silly. I mean, it took me, and I texted you and I said, hey, I'm running late. It's not because of anything else besides the driving conditions created people's chaos. They got lulled into a sense of security where they didn't need to put their winter tires on, I don't think.
I was going to say that. That's the excuse every time they get an offender bender. Their insurance company's like, well, why? How did this happen? Or the police report, oh, my winter tires, my garage couldn't get them on.
I had mine on in October by Thanksgiving. There's no excuses.
You're the reason we got snow.
Yeah, probably. Now, I tell you what, who's the reason? It's my kid. My kid put his Christmas tree up a couple weeks ago. The night after, we got a couple light dusting of snow. Like, it's just way too early for Christmas trees.
Yeah,
snow, I guess, we're there.
My family put it up this weekend. They wanted to beat Grandpa. Did they beat Grandpa?
No, I had it up a week ago. I had the outside done. I had the tree up, and I had the whole inside of the house is all ready for Christmas.
Oh, good grief. They wanted to beat you. I thought they did.
No, Megan asked me, you got your tree up yet? And I said, I sure do. And she went, dang it. So I don't know whether she was going to try again next year or not, but they have trouble beating me.
It'll be October 1st.
Good grief. Yeah, I know. And Jen was pushing and saying after Remembrance Day. And I'm a big Remembrance Day fan. I mean, we've had family that are veterans the whole 9 yards, but I'm like, okay, to me, just because Christmas decorations are up doesn't mean I'm not gonna still honor Remembrance Day. And like every day should be Remembrance Day, and I'm not gonna. So to me, I don't care. Put your Christmas decorations up whenever you want. But Jen was pushing them not until after Remembrance Day, but they wanted to beat Grandpa, and they still didn't beat you.
No, I had them up. I just didn't light them till after Remembrance Day, but I had them ready. I wanted to get them up in the warm weather.
Yeah, that's kind of key. Typically, we. Candace last year was the first year we put lights up on the house because I couldn't be bothered. Honestly, she'll decorate the walkway and put lights in the house. The Christmas stuff inside, it blows up after Thanksgiving or Halloween stuff goes away. But last year I put the Christmas lights up, and this year none of them work. So that was money well spent, I'll tell you right now.
So we haven't done many outdoor decorations, and I'm talking really lowly because Jen can hear me. But I will say that I don't have to worry about the blow-up ones anymore because the snow blower might have taken them out. Oh, oops.
Yeah, it happens. Eh?
Well, it was a deer. I had to take it down.
The only thing about those blow-up ones, in our neighborhood, there's a lot of them. But through the day, it looks like there's a drive-by shooting. They're all laying dead in the yard.
Well, I will tell you that our decorate, and I felt bad when I ran over the Rudolph one. We've actually patched it. And because the person that is responsible for kicking this podcast off and dropping off all the gear and making the studio the way it is and making our intro music and making another intro music that I'm not sure you totally heard, Bill, but the we always do the Santa Claus parade and then everybody comes back to our place. And this year, of course, because of COVID, ain't happening. But one year we came back and they were like, they came and they're like, oh, we got to leave early when we were up. And I'm like, okay, whatever. You come back to our place? Oh, we might. Well, when we got back to our place, I've got a Santa Claus on our front lawn that blows up huge. it's got a bow in its hand that they had constructed with an arrow. And then they have a red line of lights going to Rudolph laying down, a blow up Rudolph laying down, and then like a pool of red lights, like it had been shot by Santa. And
that's awesome.
That is where we got our decorations. So Les Thomas, Redneck Country Music Studios, we do appreciate it. So, but that also leads me to Bill. So like a couple weeks ago when I was producing podcast, I think it was 43, I snuck in. He hit me with, from him listening to the podcast, he hit me with another intro and he's like, you gotta swap this in. And so I just popped it in there and I was expecting some pandemonium, but I'm not sure that you got to hear it. So I was Dad, did you get to hear it?
I've listened to every podcast.
Did you hear it?
I heard it, but I think it didn't really sink in.
Episode 44. Yeah, so I'm going to play 44? It right now for everybody, just because I snuck it in. And Dad, you can hear it for the first time here. Hopefully it comes through okay.
Hello, blokes. This is Sir William Thom of Redneck Country Podcast.
I heard that.
I here sit with my Queen's tea in my hand, my faithful hunting Chihuahua Taco at my side, and we are coming at you.
I heard hilarious. That. I was just rounding the first corner of my walk, and it stopped me short, and I went, "What the heck?" And then I realized
Sir William Thom and my trusty
awesome.
Hunting Chihuahua Taco.
I appreciate that.
It was awesome. When he said that to me, I was crapping a chicken. I thought that was hilarious. And said, "You might have to pull over. I'm gonna have to pee a little bit."
That was fantastic.
So yes, Les, appreciate them. Keep them coming, my man.
Yeah, I got my tea in hand right now. No Chihuahua, but I got the tea in hand as we speak, sitting in the sunroom trying to keep warm here.
Oh, that's too awesome. So so I was pretty pumped on
anybody that looks out, and there's a lot of the neighbors, I take the same route. A lot of the neighbors wave, even if they're driving by, they wave. They know now, they come out and talk to me. I do it so much. But anybody when I'm listening to the podcast, anybody looks out and I'm laughing to myself, but they cannot see me connected to my hearing aids through my phone because it's wireless. and you know, when
he's lost it,
I stop dead and start to laugh in the middle of the road. You know, they got to think something's weird's going on, and it is.
Yeah. Your son burned you again.
Yeah, just keep bail money in your sock there, Don, on your walk, just in case they pick you up and take you in.
Yeah, because we ain't coming to get you. Oh, that's too awesome. So thank you, Les. I love it. It was absolutely. We're gonna get Les on one of these days. He's gonna come on the podcast one of these days.
Good deal.
All right. So where are we going this week? That was my question.
Yeah, but I asked it first. So,
but did you? I asked it louder, so I think I win. In the Millard household, when you ask the loudest, you win. That's Megan just said, amen to that. That's how we were raised.
I think we better talk a little bit more about some controlled hunt.
The controlled hunt.
And I had a question that was posed to me from last week's podcast, actually.
From somebody else? Really?
Yep.
That's
somebody
awesome.
else. They said, what do you mean you ran out of buck tags?
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean?
So part of the one of the questions that you asked on the said on the podcast was that one year you had to not shoot.
Couldn't shoot a buck when I walked up on it.
Right, and the question was, I thought that everybody who bought a license in Ontario automatically got a buck tag.
Absolutely.
Thought, well, that's a great question because not everybody hunts the quote unquote controlled hunt.
Correct.
So that may not be a common knowledge thing. So do you want to explain that?
Yeah, well, and they've done it for bow as well. But you're right. So the tag you buy is a buck tag. If you don't, and it depends if you apply or just go and buy it at the store, right? For the controlled hunt versus the bow hunt and all that fun stuff. But so you're absolutely right. Buck or a doe in the controlled hunt is that one tag. And then many years, this year they didn't do it. They gave out some additional doe tags only for archery in our area, but very limited. I didn't get one. My brother-in-law did. And then he messaged me the day after. Hey, did you get your extra tag? Why didn't you message me yesterday?
Yeah.
So I didn't get one, but he got one. He got an extra doe tag. And so that's typically what they do. Well, they also used to, and as recent as I did last year or the year before, I don't remember. I don't think they did last year, but it's all by area. It's all by the deer count, so they say. And there's arguments on what drives the deer count, right? Insurance companies, everything else. We can make a whole other podcast on that. I've had many conversations with many people in places of power, but regardless. So really what they do is they'll announce, okay, some years they've had upwards of 6 additional doe only tags.
In your area.
In our area. And so, because I remember the one year they had a big meeting. They wanted to bring a shotgun season in. And we've always been muzzle loader only. And so what they call is the antique firearm zone, right? So muzzle loader only. And it's tough to call it antique firearms now when even some muzzle loaders are smokeless powder, depending on, right? And so, but regardless, as long as it's muzzle loading, you can use it. So they wanted to bring that in, and a bunch of they did those meetings where they go and they'll have it at the arena, and you can go and have your piece and say what you need to say, and then they kind of weigh how they're going to do it. So many people were against the shotgun season, and people that are listening to this going, "Man, I wanted that shotgun season." Well, the reason being that a lot of people didn't want it was because you go out there with a shotgun, you got 3 shots automatically in our area versus a single shot with a black powder. And then you've also got a lot more range because you're rolling a slug with smokeless powder with a lot more feet per second than a black powder and or a muzzle loader. So and then some concerns of safety. I mean, that's always a given when a black powder bullet's not going to be as fast or as far, as dangerous, as bad as that is to say, as a shotgun slug, because that slug, you can move it with smokeless powder. So it's got a lot more range. So that's the theories. Now, again, I'm not always one for the safety side, because as a hunter, it's your responsibility to know the direction you're shooting, to make sure that you're alone, you're not shooting, you're always shooting in a safe direction. That is why
Dad, your primary focus as a hunter is to do this safely.
Number one, safety. So Dad will not hunt deer with a gun unless he's in a tree stand. Am I right on that, Dad?
Yeah, I don't like sitting on the ground at all. I really like, since we got the tree stands, I like that because you never shoot up. And
you're always shooting down.
Yeah, you never know where the arc of that bullet was going to carry. And typically, when you're shooting down, it's going to go into the ground long before it becomes lethal or hits, across the field or whatever. And because you're sitting up, and because people don't shoot up, they're never going to shoot into the bush or beside a tree where you might be sitting.
Yeah. So Dad is, that's his safety conscious, right? So he won't, that's why we have so many, like 18 tree stands through this concession. So you can go wherever you want, but you get up and you're safe. And then don't have to worry because you're only shooting. I mean, in a lot of our stands, you can't even see 100 yards for the deer, but in the ones that you can, you're still shooting on that downward angle. And so, you can see where the bullet's going versus shooting straight across. If you were shooting a slug out of a shotgun, it could travel to where your eyes can't see that far, kind of thought process, right? So anyway, that being said, that's the safety side of it. But a bunch of guys, the other kicker was the decimating of the deer population. And the whole reason that this meeting was coming is because this antique rifle season in our area had managed the deer so well, they need to have this meeting that, holy crap, we have an overpopulation and overabundance of deer. We need to make a shotgun season so more deer can be taken. And so it was got together and said, you know what? Instead of that, why don't you just let us shoot more deer?
Yeah.
Like, we're tagged out by Tuesday, maybe Monday on some years. We get 1 day to hunt. So let us buy more tags. And so I remember that year they announced it. And I remember Scotty went and waited in line overnight with his daughter. He was actually interviewed and put in the paper. And they camped out, and there was a lineup forever around it, but didn't probably even need to, because you could get 6 extra tags per person.
That's crazy that you guys have that opportunity to get so many tags.
Right. And not to mention the money grab, because holy jumping. Now we had to stop and go, wait a minute. it was like, I don't know what it was at the time, $38 a tag or something like that per tag. But then if you're not butchering the deer, which you take that week off and then you got to go back to work the next week, you don't have time to butcher that many deer if you get that many. So you're paying. Well, now we pay our butcher $75 a deer, regardless of size. So it can be a double-edged sword depending on the size of deer you shoot. But so we pay So you pay. Well, and then you start doing the math. Well, if I buy 6 tags, automatically that's like $38, whatever it was, times 6. But then you're $75 times 6. And then on top of that, that's plus then you get your buck tag, which is your 7th tag. Like that's crazy. Yeah, really.
It's a lot of.
I can't say there was a lot of people that bought that, but definitely a couple extra tags.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it would be nice to have a couple extra tags for our areas and stuff too, but it's different. I like the concept, and we don't have it in Ontario as far as I know, of the earn a buck tag.
I was going to say, you were going to say shoot a doe first, take it in, and then go get a buck.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that don't fill tags, even though they have them in their pockets because they're looking for El Jefe 12-point stud walking through the bush.
Yep.
And by the end of the season, they don't have that tag filled. And you know what? To each their own. That's awesome. If you're out there looking for a big buck
it is what it
put
is,
on the wall and stuff, it is. Whatever. I'm not saying anything against that. But what I am saying is to control the deer population as a hunting community, if we had enough deer that we could have in some areas, not all, the earn a buck program, then it may be an opportunity to.
I am not that guy that has to. I mean, don't get me wrong. Up until controlled hunt, I am monster buck hunting. I'm not that guy that's going to hold my tag right and then have tag soup at the end, right? But and fortunately, I don't think I would have to, just because of the area. I know where the does are, and I know where I could go and fill that tag. But that being said, I believe, not being one of them, that every one of these big buck hunters want that earn a buck tag.
Yeah, probably.
Because it manages the doe. The whole theory behind it, right, is it manages the doe population. The less does you got,
ratios.
Yeah, the buck to doe ratios, you're going to get them big boys up on their feet, having to find more does.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly from what I can see. And you know what? I'll tell my story about one of the does I shot a little bit later on in the podcast here, but the doe I shot, not one of them, but and it has to do with that mentality in my mind. If I have a tag in my pocket, I like the meat in the freezer. I don't need to shoot a big buck during. It's nice. Believe me, if one walks out, I'm not going to pass it up. But I like the thought of being able to fill a tag and, have that meat in the freezer at the end of the season too. Yeah. You know what I just did?
What?
I just knocked my teacup off the seat here, and
can I tell you why?
Everywhere.
Can I tell you why? You mentioned big bucks, and that's a manly thing, and therefore your subconscious kicked in and was like, and just pushed that aside. I'm a man. I don't need that tea. I'm talking about bucks.
That's.
You broke your teacup?
Cup.
Well, now we got to get some
favorite cup.
Some Redneck Country coffee mugs, and we'll let you put tea in it.
I went down to Nashville to Antique Archaeology, the place.
Oh, now you're gonna make me feel bad.
And I broke that cup just now.
Can we have a moment of silence for Bill's cup?
You play taps or something now?
I know how you feel, Bill. That's why I always buy 2.
Yeah. Broke my cup. Right,
that's it now. Now we have to get Redneck Country coffee mugs. It's coming. It has to happen.
Completely derailed the conversation.
I wanted a mug from Count's Customs in Las Vegas, so I made sure I got 2. You know you're going to break one.
He brought me back a mug once from a shopping trip in the States, and when I got it, the handle had been glued back on because he had dropped it carrying it into the house.
I remember that.
Didn't you buy 2? I only get 1.
I'll fix this fella up here. It'll be just fine. All right. Sorry about that.
Total tangent. It's like it's contagious. I like it.
But this not having buck tags left, that's happened to Todd more than once.
See,
it drives me nuts. I walk in and I had a monster. I mean, we had one, I think it was riddled with arthritis, and I had gone to pick up Dad in his stand and happened to look over the edge of the ravine, And when I looked over the edge down in the bottom, there was this, he's a monster. I mean, he was 10, 12 points and just a horse. And he was running with a couple does at the bottom. And I could have taken the shot. But to me, it was still, I was pretty green at this time. But I'm like, that's a long ways. When really straight down is not a long ways. It may be straight down a long ways, but that bullet it's not a long ways. It'll fire true. And so I didn't. And so later in that week, we were doing a drive and Dad had stayed home because we only had a couple doe tags left. And so it was me, Dad's buddy, Bob, and Rick. And so I went on this little mini drive. I put them down as blockers. And I said, there's a bedding area up top. I'm going to walk up. I'm going to walk around that bedding area and come down. Anything up there is going to come down over this hill. You guys be ready. And so I got up there and out of the bedding area jumped up that same monster buck with a couple does. And he like arthritis riddled. He was hobbling. He wasn't running. And I put my gun up and I could have pulled the trigger 16 times. And it just wouldn't happen if you had a buck tag in your pocket. And I had to go down the hill and go, hey, guys, I just seen that giant again. And oh, Toddy. And we ain't got a buck tag. And I had to let it go.
It happened right at the bottom, too, when you were in the high stand, the 18-footer. That one walked out and you didn't have a buck tag. Come on, that little bit of a cornfield.
Oh, yeah. Like, yeah. So it's sometimes a curse having that many tags. You got to stay in the woods with only a doe tag.
Yeah, and that's the conversation that we were just having there. It was you, for the controlled hunt, get drawn for one or the other.
Yep.
You can't. Your tag will tell you what it is. So just because you got a doe tag for the bow hunt or for the rest of the season, the controlled hunt is just what it is, either a buck or a doe. So that's how you ran out of buck tags, is because you had a tag that said for antlerless only.
That no extra doe tags available.
Yeah, there you go. So. Yeah, so I had a really nice conversation with a lady from the M&R today. And I think I raised a little bit of a problem.
You called the M&R?
Yeah, for another reason, for a clarity, because for hides for hats.
Clarity. Oh, hides for hats. Let's get into that because Dad's a little. I just had to throw out a bunch of hides.
Yeah. So what I was trying to say, I was trying to get, every year that you go to the Hides for Hats Depot, you get 2 crests. You get your Hides for Hats crest as well as your ministry patch.
Yep. Successful big game hunter.
I collect every one of them for every year that I've been a successful big game hunter. So this year they didn't have any crests for the M&R at the Hides for Hats Depot.
Right.
So I'm trying to find them. So I called my local M&R office, and they directed me to somebody who directed me to somebody who was totally misinformed. So I ended up calling Peterbilt today, and I spoke to a really nice lady who was just as shocked as I was that this year's M&R crests are coming from the enforcement side of the M&R, not the district offices. So if you go,
so you got to get arrested, or you got to get investigated.
Exactly. If the
poacher over here. Just kidding, buddy. Can I have a patch?
That's exactly what it was. Right. The M&R lady was shocked that they couldn't get these patches from anywhere else besides from enforcement officer. So if you want one,
it comes with a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's it. So
here's a meeting invite and your patch.
Yeah. Thanks for participating in our program. Here's your patch. So
no doubt.
But yeah, so anybody who's looking to get a patch.
Well, yeah, we are. So that's good to know. So we got to call our local enforcement officer. Well, I know how to get a hold of him right quick. I know right where to go stand. Somebody will call him. He'll come without me even trying to get a hold of him.
So, but,
I'll just be like, "What took you so long? 6 patches. Cough them up, brother. 7. We need 7." Oh, I like it.
There you go. Anybody that's I don't like to get into the rules and stuff too much, but I called the like I try to be informed on everything based on what I can interpret from the book and stuff, but the patches was one of those things I didn't know how to do this year. So there's your public service announcement on the Redneck Country Podcast.
I like it. And Dad, you needed to know that, right? Because we're trying to get some.
Rick left a message already. I got to check with him later now to see if he got a call back, because Rick collects them too. And well, we all do, but Rick really does not want to miss one. And so he said he'd look after it this year. So I haven't heard how he's making out. I'll have to check with him and inform him if he hasn't got a call back yet.
Yeah, that's where they are. So that was a 45-minute conversation with the M&R office today. So.
I love it. Whether you're calling your local cell phone provider, cable provider, or a government office, you can guarantee it's going to be an hour-long conversation.
That's what it is.
They better have good music.
Heated up my lunch. I told the lady, she goes, "Can I put you on hold?" I said, "I got my lunch here." Yeah. And she was back in 15 minutes.
I'm not surprised. No. What are you going to warm up? I'm having tacos with my Chihuahua.
Not in my new teacup anymore.
Jeez. That's awesome.
All right.
Yeah. Where are we going? Okay.
Careful.
Controlled hunt.
Yeah.
Enough rambling and rantings. So I want to hear some Bill Thom stories.
Yeah. We got some stories.
I want to hear where the almost guy wasn't almost.
Well, I tell you, where the almost guy wasn't almost on a couple occasions this year. But I'll get into it by saying we had a really, really successful year, seeing 39 deer between the Saturday after, or Halloween was Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. 31st of Saturday?
39 deer. How did you keep track of it? Did you call your wives to mark it on the board?
we had one of those tickers that when people go through the entrance at a concert, it was but,
guys, I almost shot this 12 point, but I was too busy clicking the doe that ran by me first.
Yeah.
He heard me.
You know from the Alliance.
The Alliance. The Alliance.
Yeah, we had a couple doe tags, and my brother and TJ only had buck tags. So we made the rules that the person who got the luck of having a doe tag was, Tuesday at noon was able to keep that in their pocket and harvest, and the other guys were shooting bucks. So I got up to the hunt camp on Halloween, and my brother had already harvested a turkey, which
we got to bring him on.
Itself.
We got to bring him on for that story.
I'm not even going to get into that story because it's a story in itself, and all I can tell you is everything you know about turkey hunting, throw it out the window for how he got this bird.
Did he make it? Just tell me, did he make it happen?
Hey, he made it happen. There's no question in my mind. I wasn't there for it, but the story and the video and everything afterwards told me he made it happen. Okay,
here's what I want to do. I'm going to do this. So make it happen. At 28 minutes into this podcast, roughly, give or take, because we have the intro music. So like 28:30. Anybody that's listening right here, if you post on your Facebook, you share our podcast and say, "Made it happen," we're going to put your name in for a draw for a hat. How's that sound?
I like it.
Like it?
I like it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm not even going to post this on. So you had to have made it this far into our podcast and listen to know, and therefore share it, put on there, made it happen, but you got to let us know. So reach out via Instagram Messenger, Redneck Country Messenger, show us the post or tag us in the post. And so we know, we'll put your name in for a draw for a hat.
I like it. That's awesome.
Awesome. Okay.
So there we go. That he made it happen. And we'll get him on there if he wants to, which I'm sure he will, tell the story. And so by the time I got up to the hunt camp, we already had a successful week because we harvested an animal. But I got into the stand on Saturday afternoon, being at the bull hunt. We were going to be a little bit selective. And those times that you've always said, or you've said, well, I got in the stand and I instantly had deer underneath me.
Yeah.
Oh, that hardly ever happens to me. Hardly ever.
Does it almost happen?
It doesn't even almost happen.
How do you know, though?
It never happens.
They could be
Yeah,
like within
exactly.
100 yards. It almost happened.
It did. So I get into my spot and I grab the disc out of my camera.
Is this the Taj Mahal?
No, this isn't the Taj Mahal. This is a stable field.
Oh, okay.
So this is a stable field, and it's a spot that I've groomed this year for the first time.
Is this Monday?
This is Saturday.
Oh, on the sow.
This
You're
is
the bow.
Saturday.
You're at the bow. I gotcha. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
We were able to do two days worth of bow hunting prior to the opener on Monday morning, and so I get into the stable field and I grab the disc out of the camera. I get up into the tree. I put my bow on the hanger. I sit down. I look down. There's a deer underneath my tree stand, and I'm not talking 60 yards out. I'm talking 5 yards underneath my tree stand.
Okay, hold on, because you are an attributor admin on the Redneck Country Facebook page, and I thought it was mandatory that when that happened, you go live on Facebook.
Cell service is terrible up there. It would have been pretty grainy video. So I
sounds like an
go
excuse
live.
to me.
I took a lot of pictures and I sent it to the Alliance. And we all
You sent them
had a
to
good laugh.
the Alliance.
Yeah. They couldn't believe it. They thought I was pulling their leg. That
Really, eh?
I got up in the stand and I sat down, and the deer was underneath me in there.
See, that's like a Scotty thing. That's like you got in there like a ninja.
I do. I mean, look at me.
It's just a moving beard through the bush. That's cousin it's
all
going to
you
hunt.
It was just camel. Yeah, it was camel, no orange. So all you saw was a beard.
And bad makeup.
Yeah, I didn't even have time to put the makeup on, the face paint. The deer was that fast underneath the tree.
So it was a doe.
It was a button buck. It was a little wee tiny button buck right there that had two little nubs, and it was there for an hour.
Are you kidding, eh?
Solid hour. It came.
Is this when you messaged me to tell me that it bedded down below you?
That was a different time.
Oh.
That was a different time. That was day 2, but that's a story for another time. That was awesome.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
Yeah, but this deer came out and went right into the magic mix that I put out there, right in front of the camera. I had pictures of him. He went away. He came back, and then he came back, and a spiker walked out 30 yards right in front of my tree stand. So, but
Scotty doesn't believe you right now. He's telling he's somewhere yelling liar.
Yeah, I honest to goodness,
spike bucks don't exist.
Shoot the spiker.
Just so you could show Scott it's there. It exists.
I think I messaged him. I said I just passed a spiker, and he kind of gave me a hard time because I passed a spiker. But yeah, I looked at that spiker over and over and over again. But because it was beside the smaller deer, it looked big. It really wasn't that big in the grand scheme of things. But it was the first couple hours in the tree stand, and I thought, hey, I'm not going to fill my tag this early. So.
Yeah, no, when you got it coming like that.
Yeah, long story short, I passed on that one. So we hunted Saturday, and then we hunted Sunday too, and I think it was the same deal. We had lots of deer. And you asked how we know. Every night we got back to the hunt camp, we have a whiteboard.
You compare marker lines off your arms.
Yeah, we
unscented markers.
That's it. There was no scent. But we put the marker on the board, and we figured out what stand we were in, because we named them all. I don't know if you guys do that for your stands. We have names, but just based on where they are, or like where or who put it up, right? Like everybody knows if you said Todd stand, well, you know where that is. If you said Dad stand, you know where that is, right? Typically, you can't really say Scotty stand because, man, he moves so many stands and there's so many, and they were all in place before he came pretty much. I mean, we've moved a few, but there's not really a Scott stand, but yeah, right. There's one over a paintball fort where they used to play paintball. So we call that the paintball one. Dad's actually got 2. So you have to clarify Dad's up top or Dad's down below. Yeah, that's it. But we got the stable field's one. Candace's Corners is another
Candace's
one.
Corners. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we
That's
got
kinda
Candace's
cool.
Corners because that's the.
It's got a ring
pine
to
block.
it. It's CC.
You see, that's how we put it on the board. CC.
Yeah,
Candace's
look at that. See,
Corners. So that was the
I could
stand
market for
shot
your
that was
stands. I could be your marketing, your stand marketing.
could.
We could auction them off the night before. Right now, we got CC. Who wants CC?
going.
Who
You
wants
got
to
Wayne's World?
Wayne's World. Have you got a Wayne that
Jay's
hunts with you?
Pines. Don't, but in the new block of bush that we got permission to hunt, the guy put up a permanent stand, and on the stand rail it says Wayne's Stand or Wayne's World or something like that. So I don't know. It must have been Wayne's Stand, and that's how they name it. So, but Wayne's World, stable field, which back in the old days used to literally be a pig stable, and there was an old well and a homestead and that sort of stuff. And 60, 70 years.
See, we'd have
later,
called that
it is
the
what it is.
homestead.
The homestead, yeah. But it was a pig stable, so we called it the stable field. The Throne is another one, which literally is on the top of a little hill overlooking a ravine that they built.
And that
a
one's
chair
just
that looks
all
like a
week
throne.
long. It's so confusing.
Yeah, you going to the Throne?
Why are you going at 8:00 at night?
So, yeah, on Sunday I hunted the stable field a second time, and I saw some deer, but I didn't see any of the big ticket bucks that I was looking for. So Sunday night we closed up shop and put away the bows and got ready for the rifle hunt. I shoot a single shot 30-06. So when I pull the trigger, it because there's usually not a follow-up shot, and most times I get lucky enough that something drops. So
Almost.
it'll be a little bit almost. Yeah. But so Monday morning I went to the Taj Mahal because it was
freaking cold. That's
yeah, that's right.
It was the coldest dang day of the year though thus far. That's what I was gonna say. We made a mistake. So can I interrupt you for a minute?
Absolutely.
Because from our standpoint, my stand is up top. So I'm using air quotes up top of that valley we talk about. That's like the 200-yard drop in a valley and a creek runs through it, yada, yada, yada. My stand, Dad's buddy's Bill's stand, and typically Rick's stand opening morning, all up top. Scott goes down the bottom. And so we got all, and I think Dad's buddy Bob, Bill was in his stand that we would call it Bob's stand, but Bill went into it because Bill was going down the bottom. So Bill had a little more common sense than the rest of us. So we went up top, and I will tell you what, anybody wants a tip from any of these stories, if it is 60-kilometer winds on top of a ravine and it's blowing in your face, drop down over that darn ravine because it's so quiet on that ledge of that ravine that the deer are on your side of that field or that valley or that ridge, because even if the wind blows so much and it goes down over that, that edge is safe. You know what I mean? It's protected from the wind. And so stupid us, what, Dad? We sat up there till 10:30, 10:45.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. And so Dad's buddy Bob, that's hunted with him for 50-something years in this spot, he will tell you that you cannot argue with him. They're the coldest spot in Canada during the controlled hunt on the top of that hill, on the top of that ravine in that tree stand. And he's not wrong. My gosh, when that wind's coming in your face, whipping across this raw blank field, and you're right on the edge of that ravine and it's coming down and over, holy jumping. And we sat there all morning.
Cut rate 3, I bet.
Oh, and Scotty shot deer, and Bob, I think Bob shot a deer too.
Yep, down below.
Yeah,
Morning, yep.
yeah, he did. He shot a buck. And so we sat up there all stinking morning, and I said, hindsight 2020, why didn't we just all get down and go over the edge? Like, all we had to do is drop over that edge and sit down there, watch the bottom, because the deer are down there and the protected. You didn't even know it was windy down there. And oh my gosh, yes, it was the coldest stinking day of the year. And we sat in that stinking tree stand for 4.5 hours and wasted it. Not seeing a deer.
It was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking
Mr.
about.
Taj Mahal.
Absolutely beautiful morning.
You sent me a picture. I see it at the table. Had the heater out there again. All your stuff on the table beside you. Just chilling. Yeah, you've inspired Dad, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
You want to tell him your plan? He's even talked to the landowner.
Oh yeah. Next year, like I have I have a tree stand.
It was
85
followed
yards from the corner.
It was followed with a case of beer when he talked to the landowner.
And Rick keeps telling me, I used to have it right in the corner, and Rick keeps telling me I should be back in the corner, but so I can see over the edge, I can see into the bedding area, woods behind me.
But the wind blows right over that edge.
So
they're going to wind you.
I'm 85 yards in a tree stand from the corner. But next year, I am going to have a 10 by 10 on stilts, and it's going to have windows you can slide open and close all the way around it. I have a 360-degree turkey chair that spins silently, and I am going to have a heater buddy, and I am going to have my lunch and my rattling horns and my calls all laid out, and I'm going to have the floor carpeted, so if I drop anything, it doesn't make a lot of noise, and I am going to be in my Taj Mahal there next year.
Welcome to my world, Don. Thank you for crossing the threshold and coming to my world. Because I tell you what, you'll never go back.
I said to him, any problem if I put one in the corner, not where my stand is now, but move right down into the corner so I can see. Hey, well, I don't have a problem with that. So
he even had pictures on his phone. He's like, it's going to look like this.
Yeah.
So Mom said, might as well sleep there. Leave him out there. He can sleep.
I honestly thought that would be an awesome idea. You get a little cot, my heater is there, I bring enough food. It's perfect. To there overnight. What are you going to do? It's perfect. But the Taj Mahal is where I went. And the only problem I had in the morning was the wind blew so bad it blew the pilot light out and kept blowing the pilot light out of my heater.
Really? So, when that happens, I always face it so that the wind's behind it. But probably the Taj Mahal, the wind comes in and swirls around inside.
It swirls. That's exactly what happens.
Inside the Sky Dome.
Well, I'm up, 9 feet in the air in a muddy. It's a tent, right? So up on a raised platform. So it is absolutely the best spot to be on a day like that, because I had the heater going just enough to take the chill off when it was working, and my brother, his friend TJ. We're up in stands in the middle of a pine block with the wind blowing down on them, and they couldn't last. They stuck it out. I give them a lot of credit, but at the end of it, they were chilled to the bone.
Yeah, I wasn't checking my phone. I'll tell you that much.
I was just fine. I had my table. On my table, I had my lunch, I had my calls, I had my snack, I had my tea.
So I lied.
Thermos there.
Because I did have I didn't have my heater buddy, but I had the little mini buddy that I put down between my legs that aims up at my hands so that I could be on my phone. So I did have that. And it worked well.
The morning wasn't great. I tell you, the morning wasn't great for deer sightings because I stuck it out till 10 o'clock and my stomach had other ideas for me staying the whole day. I had it all planned out where I had two sandwiches for the morning and 2 sandwiches for the afternoon, plus my snacks and all that stuff. So I had to go back to the hunt camp for 20 minutes, and that's all it was. Just enough to go
to the throne.
I had to go to the throne. Yeah. I had to go to the other throne.
See, and that's why you can't sleep there overnight.
The problems of no plumbing enough.
You need to put your septic bed in there.
Yeah, but so I got back in, and then I went back out to the Taj Mahal, and I was prepared to have an all afternoon hunt. Well, all afternoon hunt didn't last until 1. I don't know, call it about 10 after 1. And at 10 after 1, I just finished glassing. So the way I sit in my tent, I pretty much give up.
I love it. Okay. Can I ask a question? What's wrong with saying using the binoculars?
I don't know.
Because it's called glassing, right, Bill?
Dad says it's
called glassing. I glassed the field.
I was glassing around.
Yes. That's what it's called.
You're not wrong.
I was looking out that field. How could you see that far? I had binoculars. Carry on.
I was glassing the field.
I was glassing the field.
And I could see.
I come upon this rare bird.
Yeah. It was a northern flicker. in my in my tent in the Taj Mahal, one spot I can see 256 yards. I got a rangefinder in the range, right back to where my brother walks into his pine block back there. It's 256 yards to that spot. Obviously, I'm not going to take that shot. I wouldn't. It's not something I want, but I can see there, and I can see 60 yards out to my 12 o'clock, and then pretty much to my 3 o'clock, I give up, but I open the window just in case something happens to maybe walk there. Well, that just happens to be over top of my snack table. So I just finished glassing from the front of me all the way around, and I got a little bit hungry for a snack, and I turned around, and there's a deer 60 yards to my 3 o'clock right behind the spot where I had no business wanting to look for deer. And the only way I saw that deer was because I went for a snack off my table.
So, well, you passed the holy, it's a deer.
Yeah, I did. I said rock wasn't there before, and sure enough, that rock wasn't a rock. It was a deer. So it's Monday. It's Monday at 1 o'clock. I've got a doe tag in my pocket. It's a doe. I didn't know this at the particular second because I just saw a deer. Nice body. I mean, it's a Monday morning or Monday deer, which to me is a deer that you should be putting on the pole and harvesting if you got a tag in your pocket. But I looked at this animal and I said, debated whether I was going to take it or not.
You debated too long, didn't you?
Well, no. The story gets pretty good here because I look at this deer and now she's 35 yards to my 3 o'clock, and I got the gun out the window, and I'm waiting for her to give me a shot. And now where I'm hunting is in a newer.
With a 30-06 at 30 yards, shouldn't you just take her eyeballs out?
Well, I could not see the body or her. She walked out of my
just pull the trigger in her direction. The concussion's going to give her a heart attack. She's going down.
I'm a little bit more precise than you are. I don't shoot by volume approach. I shoot by the singular, pick a spot and make a good shot approach. So this deer comes into the pines, the little new pines, and I can't see her now. She's totally covered. And now I'm texting the guys, hey, I've got a doe here. She doesn't have a buck with her, doesn't have any fawns with her. She fits the bill of what we're looking for. If we're going to fill a doe tag, we're going to do that. I think I'm going to take her. And the guys are like, yeah, if she's a good enough size. And I'm like, good enough size. Now I'm second guessing.
Well, then I hate that. So let me tell you that the number one thing that bothers the crap out of me is when one doe comes in. And I shouldn't, because if a doe comes in with two fawns, I probably wouldn't shoot it anyway. And you can tell which one's mama. But that's my number one thing is, how do you know that's a full-size doe and not a first-year fawn? Yep. And it drives me nuts that I'll sit there and I'm looking at the ears and I'm looking at the snout and I'm looking at the tail. How big are the ears? How big's the snout? What's the snout to ear ratio? And your second guy, I know where you're at because you don't want to shoot a smaller deer and you're going, crap. No. And I shot the biggest doe of my life. Do you remember that, Dad? I was in that really, really tall tree stand down along the creek edge.
Yep.
And you're so high that everything looks small. But it was the first deer I shot out of this freaking thing. And this doe was walking and I thought, I waited and waited. Do I shoot her? Do I not? And, it was a 70-yard shot. It's still a distance. I can't really tell. And so I put it on her and I thought, you know what? She's going to be out of sight. We got a doe tag. Pull the trigger. Boom. And watch her run and fall. And I went, oh. Then I'm really worried because she died way too fast. Because a little one will die pretty quick. Right? And I'm like, and you never make the awesome shots, the 100-yard running shots on a full-size doe, then drop them. But you do when they're fawns. So I'm like, oh. So I got down and I went, and it was the biggest doe I had ever shot. She was creeping through those tall weeds and was ducked down going through trying, because we had 3-4 of us down there and she was trying to get out between us all was the theory. And she was a huge doe, but I was second guessing. I second guessed for a good 2-3 minutes, which when you're about to pull the trigger on a deer, that's a long freaking time.
Well, when the funny thing about this is when I first texted the Alliance, and I said, I've got a
You
doe
texted
here.
who? Texted who? The Alliance.
But I said, I got a doe here. Between the time that happened, the guys, TJ and my brother, I guess, are texting back, well, do we pack up now? Because they know me. If it fits the bill, I'm not waiting. I'm going to pull the trigger on it, even though I second, third guess. I'd like to fill a tag and have some meat in the pole, but I second guess and third guess, and then it walked through my shooting lane a second time. I'm like, well, now I just messed up twice, waiting and thinking,
Now you're getting
trying
mad.
to get a good deal. Now I'm getting annoyed, and it turned and came back. I thought it was going to walk down to the swamp behind me, and it didn't. And I said to the guys, if this deer presents me a shot, I'm going to take it. Well, my dad says, and I took a picture, and in the picture, all you can see is its head, and I didn't have a shot then. I mean, it's 30 yards. I could have taken the shot, but I didn't. I'm waiting for the front shoulder. And then I sent the picture to the guys, and as soon as I sent the picture, the deer took a step into the shooting lane, and kabang! I took the shot. The text message came from my buddy. Well, I guess it turned. So I picked the spot on the front shoulder, and I took the shot, and instantly that shoulder come up, and I could tell it was hit hard, but it didn't drop right there. I'm like, how do you not drop? I would like to have one that I shoot it and it drops right on the spot for no tracking. So the text message that comes back from the guys, hey, you shot, I guess it turned, whatever. I said, yeah, guys, it's hit hard. I know it is based on my shot. It's not down. Just hang tight. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. I'm the almost guy. I almost shot her.
Yeah, it almost fell on the spot. It did not. So I get down and I just take it slow. I get to the spot. And
how long did you wait?
By the amount of time it took me to take off a layer of clothes, because I don't know how far into the bush I'm going to have to walk.
I hear you there.
Get things kind of organized, pack up a few things into my hunting pack. And then I went down because I knew with that close that,
we do the same. I always beg Scotty to sit. I always beg Scotty, sit and stand for give it an hour. But in black powder, we pretty much, it's a bullet moving. You hit it good. It's going down. And but. So, I mean, I took it slow. I mean, it was probably about 10 minutes. I say 10 minutes by the time I got down and slowly walked over. I put another round in the chamber, but I really didn't have much thought that I would need it. And I got to the spot exactly where I shot her, and there was blood all over the place. I'm like, yeah, solid hit. And I tell you, it would have been the perfect blood trail to get a brand new hunter on to walk, because it was just perfect. Like the blood was in enough space you could. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode's brought to you by the serial killer Bill, who has the perfect blood trail.
For a new hunter to be able to follow. I mean, these are things you gotta know, right?
Wow. I wish I had a new hunter. This is the perfect blood trail. I mean, the drops are so symmetrical. There's the exact amount of spacing that you need in order to train a hound.
You know what I mean. So I tracked this deer on the pretty good blood trail, and she didn't go on the pretty good blood trail. Yep. She didn't go 70 yards.
Okay, so describe to me, as much as I make fun of, to me the perfect blood trail. Like it was a good amount of blood. You were following, not a problem following that blood trail.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it was a good amount of blood. I mean, you could tell, which direction it was going because it was blood splatter. Like where it ran past a tree and rubbed up against a tree. So you could teach a new hunter, hey, look, at the level on the tree where that blood spot is, you can pretty much tell if it's a leg shot or a good shot, bad shot, based on the color of the blood, the amount, the distance between blood spots. I mean, to me, it was
that's a good answer.
It was just a textbook, a textbook blood trail where it led to the deer, and the deer.
You almost make me want to retract my chirping.
No, you don't. I know it was an almost want to retract, but that's my clinical answer of what I would consider to be a perfect blood trail to teach somebody new how to follow, what to look for, and it ended up in a nice doe. So
right on.
So there you go. There's
congratulations.
There's my, thanks. It was good. So we can after that, my brother TJ, my dad, all came. We took a bunch of pictures and stuff, and my brother and TJ, it was like 1:30 in the afternoon, and they asked me, you want me to come back and help you clean the deer? And I'm like, no, guys, it's early enough in the day. Go shoot a deer. It's all good. And we get back to the camp, and we weren't even there long enough to take a picture of the deer back in the camp, and kaboom! Gunshot goes off, and my brother may have a story for the next podcast.
Ah, right on. Comes on, tell us as a turkey story and a deer story.
So I'll leave that as a lead in to when my brother comes on.
I think it's a good spot. That's a good story. I appreciate that, Bill. Right on. And honestly, that was a really good description of the blood trail. I think it was very educational. I'm actually impressed, to be honest with you.
I think some of our listeners could relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to still save, because we're pushing the time limit now. I think I'm going to save my stories on, because I'm so excited to tell them. I really do. Yeah. Like the one buck that I got, and it was just made it happen. And honestly, did not even think it was possible of what I did. And the other buck I shot, I didn't even get to claim. It wasn't mine, but I got to shoot it. And there's so much to that story. I didn't even tell you that. I didn't even know that story. Wasn't my gun. Wasn't my buck. But we laid it down. That story too. And so I'm kind of pumped to tell that one as well, because it was kind of wicked. It was both of them are awesome. And Dad's got another deer that he knocked down to share too. So we got so much more to come on these podcasts. And but yeah, I think it was awesome.
Good deal.
So that's great. And then anybody that's made it this far, again, at 28 minutes, made it happen. And we'll say, as long as you share it and tag us and let us know you said, made it happen, share our podcast before the next podcast airs.
Sounds good. I like it.
And we'll draw everybody that does that. And I'm not sure there's going to be a whole lot to do it. So it might only be one person. You're going to get a hat. If it's more than, and we'll draw names.
I got to go fix my teacup now.
So yeah, you get some glue. Dad's good at that. Dad, I'll tell you what, Dad'll send you a hide, you tan it, you send all those pieces of that mug, Dad'll reconstruct the mug for you. We're good to go.
Yeah, fair trade. I got it. That's good.
How much does that mug mean to you?
Yeah, well, lots, because I had to go to Nashville to get it the first time. So.
And you ain't getting there now.
No, I just about cried when I dropped it.
Oh, we know. And I feel for you, buddy.
Yep, I'm the glue man.
Yeah,
we were decorating,
holding us together.
We were decorating, and
like the kink in my hose.
I leave it up to the wife to move all the ornaments in the living room and get ready for the Christmas stuff to go out. And I hear kabam on the floor, and we got these hard wooden floors, and they're brutal, they're unforgiving. And she went, "Oh no!" And I said, "What'd you break this time?" And I had bought a carved wooden bull on one of our trips to the Bahamas, and she broke a horn and a leg off.
Oh, a wooden bull.
Yeah.
I thought you said a wooden bull.
No, bull. A wooden carved bull. A beautiful, big, beautiful bull. And she broke a leg and a horn off. So I glued it.
You got it fixed?
Yeah, I got it fixed. I glued it. Trying to get the seams invisible.
Rednecks can't own nice stuff. Come on.
No, it was nice for about 6 months, and a year ago, I don't know. I'm heartbroken.
Rednecks can't own nice stuff. That's just how it goes. Oh, and I'm going to end this off with, I know, Bill, how you can drop deer on the spot, but it isn't your style.
It's not.
Because we used to do it nonstop. I mean, there's been so many times I've shot a deer and dropped it on the spot. I have dropped a buck at 15 yards on the spot, deader than a doornail, went to reload my gun and had to surf a climber tree 20 feet down and jump out of it because I knocked it while I was reloading my gun, dropped that buck on the spot. I watched Dad. I came up out of that same ravine sitting in my spot, and I watched him drop a 9-point 20 yards from us on the spot. Did not move, dropped to the ground. And it isn't spining him like everybody thinks. You've got to shoot the biggest friggin' lead homemade weird looking bullet on the planet. And when that thing hits him, it drops him like a ton of bricks. The problem is it's so inconsistent because we used to make our own bullets, poured lead, and they're so big and clunky, and they're 50 caliber. But I don't even know what grains they'd be. Like they were monsters, and I still got some, but they weren't accurate to save your life for shooting at long range. Within 50 yards, dead nuts.
When I
accurate.
get around to the second deer, I tell you, it was as close to
dropping on the spot.
But that's the second deer.
But I haven't dropped one on the spot since switching to my inline and using like the power
belts.
belts.
Years ago, I got up into my stand, and a nice buck come out of that bedding area and walked towards the corn, and I put the gun up and snap. I click. Actually, I forgot to put the primer on the gun, and I went, oh no! And I broke the gun open. And,
show of hands, who's shocked?
Yeah, and I pulled the quick loader out of my coat, and I'm trying to get a
quick loader. New name when it's in the hands of him.
Whatever it is. And I'm trying to get a primer, and I'm shaking, and I get the primer on, and I thought he's going to walk into the corn, but he doesn't. He stops at the corn and turns.
Was it from
and he
excitement?
comes along the corn. I finally fumble and get the primer on, and now he's walking right at me. He's walking right to me, and his head's down. He's sniffing the ground while I slam the gun shut. And he brings his head up. He's 20 yards. I put the gun right at the base of his neck and his chest.
Oh, okay. But I mean a broadside normal
right up
shot.
on his back legs and went over sideways, and he never moved.
When you put it right through his neck. Okay.
Yeah, they drop on the spot like that.
And this year I had one drop too. That buck I shot without not using my gun. But again, that was unorthodox. And you'll have to wait to hear it.
Story for another time.
Yep. I'm excited to share my stories. But hey, I love listening to yours. And then you got to get your brother on too. So that's awesome. But yeah. All right. Appreciate your time. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, you too, guys.
Good night.
And that'll do it for this week, folks. For the Redneck Country Podcast, I'm Bill, the Almost Guy Thom.
And I'm Todd. And thanks for listening. And folks, if you want to be part of the podcast or you want to give us some feedback or really contact us about anything, feel free to email us at podcast@theredneckcountry.com. Again, that's podcast@theredneckcountry.com. Thanks for listening. Talk to you again next week.